The show 623-1330. If you haven't asked the preacher question, I'll be your man. If you want to talk about anything going on, headline news, Middle East, geopolitical events, campaign stuff, call 623-1330. It's your time to sound off on Open Mic. Right back to the phone lines. Miami, thank you for hanging on. You're a prince of a gentleman. What's on your mind?
Oh, my God. That may get out. We're having a prayer vigil in Fort Myers on Wednesday, September 26th, and it's going to be probably an all-morning event. The bishop's going to be there. They're going to have, they're going to go demonstrate over an abortion clinic. And I don't know, I belong to one of those really drastically terrible churches. We have, we go to breakfast the first Saturday of every month, and then we go demonstrate in front of a abortion clinic.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your work. That is that's a thankless ministry that has to be done. We cannot continue to abort several thousands of children every day in our nation without destroying ourselves, physically speaking, not counting spiritually, which is even more detrimental.
And also us paying for it. Also, this thing is, as you are probably very well aware of, the sea ice in Antarctica has hit a record high. This is awful. What are they going to say about global warming now?
Yeah, I know, brother. I know. It's some pretty funny stuff. Thank you so much, Ed. God bless you, man.
Okay, one last thing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this problem that we're having in Afghanistan, we had the same problem 50 years ago in Vietnam. And what we did, we started giving some of the Vietnamese that were supposedly on our side lie detector tests. Now, there is no reason why we lose one American soldier. We're probably losing about $1 million in net investment. There's no reason why we can't put 30 or 40 lie detectors in there and start giving all those people lie detector tests. God bless you. I'll pray for you. And keep up the great work, Brother Carl.
Oh, thank you so much, Ed. No, listen, Ed, I agree with you totally on that. I mean, we have got to be more diligent in who we're putting alongside our troops, especially in light of the wave of terrorism sweeping the Middle East and then these recent killings in Afghanistan. I mean, it's just unconscionable and absolutely I can't use that word. We've got to do something about it. Let's go back to the phone lines. Mike, I understand you're on your cell phone. God bless you. Welcome to Open Mic. Mike on the Open Mic.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind, my friend?
Well, have you seen the YouTube video in Dearborn, Michigan, where the Muslims are stoning the Christians? Yeah,
that was first put out several months ago. Yeah, but I did see that. I sure did. Dearborn is practically a Muslim country now.
Right, and it's a great concern because if you watch that video, even though, you know, when I went in there with a bullhorn and started, you know, preaching, I don't think so. You know, some things are just best to leave alone, but regardless of that, these men that went in there still had a right to be there. It was a festival on that day, and I'm not sure if they had permits or not. I don't know the situation, but the fact is, what you see in this video is it wasn't necessarily the adults out there that was doing the stoning. It was the teenagers and the kids, you know, 10, 12 years old, with the most filthy mouth, you know, cursing these men. There's probably 6 or 8 men or so that was there with signs, you know, about Christ and scriptures.
But Mike, that's a religion of peace. Those children can't be that way. I mean, those children are being brought up in a religion of peace, Mike. I mean, you're just a racist and a bigot. What's wrong with you?
Well, I understand that part. But anyway, I mean, people need to look at that and see what this religion of peace is all about. I'm telling you, it's disturbing watching. So well, I want to bring that out, let people go on there and see that. You know, it may not have been the best situation for those men being, but I believe they had a right to be there. They could have done things differently, but what you see is the hate and the animosity against, you know, Christians, and that anybody that claims to be a Christian, something I will look forward at, and it's right here in America right now already.
Well, it is, and you know, and shame on us for allowing it to happen, Mike. You know, I've got so many solutions for this, but no one is willing to make me king of the world. So,
well, people just need to lift their eyes and get ready for the Redeemer.
I'm telling you, keep your eyes on the eastern sky, right, Mike?
That's great.
Okay.
Oh,
hey, Mike, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you calling, and thank you for listening this morning. God bless you. Well, folks, listen, I'll have a little more commentary on that in a moment. But again, if you want to be a part of the show this morning, 623-1330, area code 850. You're listening to Open Mike. Mike Mashburn, Carl Gallup sitting in this morning. Anthony the A-Dog Daughtry is our world-famous producer. If you haven't asked the preacher question, call in and ask that as well. Well, again, I was telling you about Freedom Friday tomorrow, and wanted to tell you, Kevin Jackson, black conservative activist who's frequently on Fox News. He will be my special guest tomorrow. He's written 2 books, one called A Big Black Lie, the other one called Sexy Brilliance. You can go to carlgallups.com, click on the Freedom Friday block, and click on Kevin Jackson's name. He'll take you right to his website. He'll be a special guest tomorrow afternoon, along with Jeff Cooner, Grace Woto, Mike Shoesmith, and your calls, and we'll have a great time. But right now, we're on Open Mic. Let me tell you now, next week, I will also be at a conference down in the Villages, Florida. There are supposed to be between 800 and 1,000 folks there. I will be on a conference with Lieutenant Mike Zullo. Lieutenant Mike Zullo, of course, is the lead investigator for the Sheriff Arpaio investigation of the Obama birth certificate scandal. But what Mike Zullo is going to be presenting is never before heard new revelations that were uncovered during the birth certificate investigation that they were not allowed to present at the press conference. But because the information wasn't directly germane to the birth certificate issue, but Mike Zullo is going to be revealing this to the crowd down there. I will be with Lieutenant Mike Zullo. Mike has been on my Freedom Friday radio program several times, and we have become quite good friends since then and have spoken quite often. I helped to line that up for him so that he could be there, and I will be in that conference with him. If you're in the Orlando area, Summerfield area, the Villages, those of you that are familiar with that area, Ocala, it's right down in that area. You come on down to the Villages, the VFW Post, great big meeting hall. It'll hold 800,000 folks. That's where we will be, and that'll be Monday evening, this coming Monday evening, and I don't remember the time right now. I think it's 6:30 or 7 o'clock. I can't remember, but you can find out. Anyway, also, I want to tell you this, and we're going to go back to the phone lines because we have callers on the line, but Eric Hovind of Creation Today Television, Creation Today Ministries, they're holding a big Proof of God conference down in Orlando, October the 12th and 13th. There are all kinds of perks for pastors and churches and groups and group events. Ken Ham, one of the most prominent creation ministry scientists and the head of the Creation Museum up in Kentucky, and he will be one of the guest speakers, one of the featured guest speakers, but there's a whole line of tremendous speakers. So if you and your church family and or group would like to go to that, please do. Again, you can go to carlgallups.com. On the upper right-hand corner, click on Creation Proof of God Conference, the Proof of God Conference, Eric Hovind. It'll take you right to the website. You can get everything, directions, cost, all the little goodies and everything at carlgallups.com. Let me go right back to the phone lines. Charles, welcome to Open Mic with Mike Mashburn. What's on your mind, Charles?
I was just wondering if you could address the issue. If the Christians get involved in this election, is there enough of us out there to make a difference? Something along them lines, nationwide, you know? I mean, there's a bunch of people go to church where you see the difference between the candidates.
Yeah.
Could we make a difference? And I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, thank you. I'll be honored to answer that, Charles. Thank you so much. Listen, folks, I'm going to answer that question for Charles, and I want you to know, I know this is controversial in the Christian community. In my humble opinion, it shouldn't be controversial, but it is. And so I want you to know, I'm going to give you my take on, should a Christian get involved? Should a Christian be voting? Can a Christian vote in this election? Can an evangelical Christian, can a Protestant, you know? And listen, I'm not not slamming anybody else. I'm just saying an evangelical Protestant is sitting out there watching, and they say, look, you've got a Mormon running for president, a Roman Catholic for the vice president. On the other side, you got a guy that was influenced by Sunni Islam with a Roman Catholic, Joe Biden, who's really nothing but claims to be Roman Catholic. So you got four guys. For the first time in U.S. history, I have been led to understand, we have people on the ballot that have no affiliation with evangelical Christianity at all. So the Christian, a lot of Christians are saying, well, I'm not going to vote. I can't vote for a Mormon. I can't vote for this. I can't vote for that. So I'm just not going to vote. All right, here's my analysis of the whole thing. And Charles, thank you for asking. This will take about 3 or 4 minutes, but hang in here, folks. Here's my analysis for what it's worth, okay? First of all, Gallup organization, no relation to me, but Gallup did a poll a couple of years ago, well, about a year ago, and they asked a question of American adults, a large sampling of American adults. Do you rate yourself as a born-again evangelical Christian? Okay, now those are some pretty fiery words. In other words, if they just said, do you believe in God, about 90% of the country answers yes on that. But you know, a Muslim believes in God, a Hindu believes in God of some sort. Buddhists believe in God of some sort. So, you know, 90% of the country will say, yeah, I believe in God. But when you ask the question, do you consider yourself to be a born-again evangelical? The answer was pretty staggering. 43% of American adults claim to be born-again evangelicals. Now, there's 330 million folks in the country. If you take out for children and allow for children, let's just bring it down to, say, 30% or 33%. That's 100 million people, folks. So if 100 million born-again evangelical Christians actually stayed engaged and cared and prayed and voted and talked and shared and got involved in the process, 100 million born-again evangelical Christians, goodness, we could have anybody we wanted in office, anytime we wanted in office. 100 million Americans that claim. But here's the problem. Those same polls also indicate that less than 50% of that 100 million are even registered. But it gets worse. Less than 50% of the registered voters, evangelical Christians, vote on any consistent basis. So now we're down to about 25 million born-again evangelical Christians that might vote at any given time. Now, out of those, we got a bunch of them this time saying, I ain't voting. Okay, so if you want to take that attitude, you know, well, I can't, I've got to vote my conscience. All right, well, what's your conscience going to say on November 7th when you wake up and Barack Obama's back in office because you didn't go vote? And all of your freedoms are taken away, and this nation continues. The First Amendment is trampled. The Second Amendment is trampled. Islam, Sunni Islam, continues to flood the world and America. What's your conscience going to say then? What are you going to say to your children and your grandchildren? Oh, Papa, you know, oh, Mama, we just didn't get involved. It was against our conscience. Well, listen, folks, I'm a born-again believer. I'm a preacher. I'm a Christian. I am a warrior for the kingdom of Jesus Christ. I do not think, this is not an endorsement of Mitt Romney. I do not think Mitt Romney's our savior. I don't think the Republican National Convention's our savior. No person, no man is our savior. But, folks, we live in America. We don't live in North Korea. We don't live in China. We don't live in the ancient Roman Empire where no one gets to vote. We live in America. And shame on born-again evangelical Christians who won't get involved and won't vote. That's the reason our nation's in the shape it's in now. So, you know, I mean, you know, if you're on an airplane and you've got two pilots, one of them's named Romney, one of them is named Obama. The plane is going down. Obama says, you know what? I'm going to take this thing and crash it inside of a mountain. Romney says, you know what? I'm going to land this thing safely and get us out of here. And then are you going to say, you know what? I don't like Romney. He's a Mormon. I'm not going to let him be the pilot. I'm just not even going to decide. I mean, that's what's happening. America's getting ready to crash into the side of a mountain, folks. We've only got two choices, humanly speaking. People say, well, I'm just going to sit home and pray. Well, why don't you pray now? I've been praying for years. Pray now. Pray on the day you go to the polling place. Pray and ask for God's forgiveness over this nation. Go in and vote for anybody but Obama. In this case, it's got to be Romney. And let's try to turn this thing around. Then pray when you come out and continue to pray. But if you're going to take the position that, well, I'm going to vote my conscience, I'm going to do the spiritual thing. No, the spiritual thing is to be the salt and light. The spiritual thing is to stay engaged. The spiritual thing is to appreciate the gift God gave you in freedom and the ability to vote. See, I think so many people in America think that it's this way all over the world. We can just get up the next day and go to church anytime we want. But folks, you may lose that freedom in the next 4 years.